I will vote for Donald Trump. It seems that the head of the Latinos for Trump, Cuban edition, has been detained by ICE. I will vote for Donald Trump. These lessons just keep on coming. These lessons just keep on coming. Y'all never learn. So Donald Trump has now seized the very person that gathered, that pulled together, that united thousands, if not millions, of Latinos together to vote for Donald Trump. And now he has been detained by ICE. So he will go back to wherever they decide to send him with that I will vote with Donald Trump on his lips.
And on today's beautiful episode of Around and Find Out, Latinos for Trump leader Hector Valdez Cocho, I didn't pronounce that correctly, sorry about that, a Cuban activist who rallied others to vote for Trump, was picked up by ICE and is in a detention center awaiting to be deported. Y'all were told what was going to happen. You still wanted to support the taco? Walk around and find out.
While spinning the blocks in the streets of Instagram, I came across a post on DL Hughley's page, shouts out to DL, that indicated Latinos for Trump leader Hector Valdez Cocho, a Cuban activist who rallied others to vote for Donald Trump, your president, was detained by ICE. I ain't got no problem with that. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock that Trump supporter up. Wow, man. It is absolutely amazing how often people vote against their own interest. I think a lot of us, man, damn near all of us are guilty of that to some extent. But it's different, fam, when people tell you who they are.
Today I want to speak plainly and directly about something that is as painful as ironic. A prominent Latino Trump supporter has been arrested and detained by ICE. A man who stood proudly, vocally and defiantly as a supporter of Donald Trump. A man who believed and publicly claimed that his loyalty would protect him, that his version of Latino conservatism would grant him some kind of immunity from the brutal immigration machinery that Trump has consistently weaponized. But now, reality has arrived. Not softly, not kindly, it arrived in the form of handcuffs, detention, and a looming deportation. And while I take no joy in another person's suffering, I will not ignore the truth sitting in front of us. This isn't just a news headline. This is a cautionary tale, a painful but necessary confrontation with the myth of exceptionalism that some Latino have clung to in the Trump era. Let's not sugarcoat it. For years, a growing number of Latino conservatives, some naturalized citizens, some legal residents, and some undocumented, have thrown their support behind Donald Trump under the belief that aligning with him would protect them, that by rejecting those other immigrants, the ones labeled criminals, illegals, invaders, they could somehow rise above, that Trump's policies weren't meant for them, just for the bad ones. They thought that if they wrapped themselves in the flag, condemned the border crossers, and shouted "build the wall" loudly enough, they could exist in peace, accepted by a system built to punish their own people. They thought that if they played the game, if they nodded along, distanced themselves from the vulnerable, and echoed Trump's rhetoric, they would be spared. Now one of their own, a leader, is in ICE custody. And in that cold bureaucratic system, there is no space long enough, no loyalty deep enough, no MAGA hat red enough to erase a target on their back. This is what happens when you believe you are the exception to a system designed to break you.
Latinas for Trump. You can still be for Trump. Just do it over there in Mexico. Bigly.
You can be a billionaire. They'll target you. Yeah. You can be a billionaire. And you stand 10 toes down, and you kind of behave like a man. You know, like stand on business, don't bite your tongue, you know. They kind of frown on that. If you got that melanin in it, you know. Others, they just kind of look at that as a manly thing. Interesting how they do that. Nevertheless, Hector FAFO'd. Yeah, fam. He found out. Boy, he thought he was good. I don't understand why people come here and commit crimes.
So the leader...
Let's talk about the myth of the good immigrant. It's the idea that if you work hard enough, speak English well enough, distance yourself from undocumented migrants, and support the right political figures, you'll be safe, you'll be accepted, you'll be allowed to stay, you'll be granted an invisible pass. But that myth is a lie. It's a trap, and this recent arrest exposes it in full view, because the same policies this man praised are the ones being used to detain him. The same institutions he claimed were necessary to protect America are now turning their full attention on him, and the same supporters he marched beside are disturbingly silent, or worse, cheering on his downfall. This is what happens when identity is used as a political shield. It fails every time. When Trump campaigned and later governed, he made no secret of his views. Yet, even in the face of all that, there were Latinos who said, well, I came here legally. I'm not like them. I believe in law and order. I support the wall. I vote Trump. But the system does not ask whether you wore a MAGA hat. The system doesn't care if you once stood on a stage beside Trump himself. The system doesn't consider you different because of your patriotism. It only sees status and it enforces power accordingly. This arrest sends a chilling message, not from me, but from the system itself. You are not immune. And if you thought you were, that was the biggest delusion of all. Now, let's zoom out. This isn't just about one man being detained. This is about how some communities, in desperate pursuit of acceptance and validation, end up supporting ideologies that ultimately work against them. It's about how internalized fear, shame, and survival instincts can drive people to align with the very forces that threaten their own stability. It's not new. Historically, we've seen marginalized groups attempt to prove themselves by overcompensating, by trying to be the model minority, by policing their own communities harder than anyone else, by believing that loyalty can somehow buy protection. But systems built on exclusion do not offer loyalty in return. They use, discard, and move on. What's even more painful is watching these individuals' political allies say nothing. No outcry, no defense, no protest, no support. No support, but silence. Because to them, his value was never in his humanity, only in his utility. He was useful as a talking point, as a brown face in a red crowd, as a proof that Trump had Latino support. But now he's just another deportation statistic, another broken body in the machine. This is why we must stop measuring our safety by proximity to power. Power does not love us back. Power does not care if we voted for it. It only cares that we stay in our place.
Latinos for Trump, Cuban edition. Hector Luis Valdez Cocho. Yeah, he's been detained by ICE. I will vote for Donald Trump. The wildest part about this is Donald Trump was very clear that he's going after criminals. Even though we all know that that's a lie. We knew it was a lie when he said it. Did he think that didn't mean him? May this level of delusion that made y'all trust and believe in this man and trust and believe that your proximity made you one of them never find me.
I can't make this shit up. I cannot make this shit up. So because he voted for Trump, and he voted for Trump and he loves Trump, he got detained by ICE. But Cubanos for Trump, Cubans for Trump. Hi. He's in the fuck around find out stage right now. Oh my god, I can't make this shit up. I just can't. Like, this is too much. Somebody need some water. I need some water. Cubanos for Trump. So he was detained by ICE.
And let me say something directly to the Latino community watching this, especially those still straddling that line of allegiance, still unsure if siding with Trump somehow offers safety. You cannot out-loyal a system that is designed to control you. You cannot vote your way out of being profiled. You cannot clap loudly enough to avoid being questioned. You cannot wear patriotism as armor and expect it to stop institution violence. And while it's easy to point fingers at this man, I urge you to not simply ridicule him. What he did, the beliefs he adopted, the rhetoric he repeated, those were products of fear, of desperation, of a longing to belong in a country that too often demands we prove our worth. But now that illusion is shattered, we must ask the deeper question: where do we go from here? We go inward. We reclaim our dignity not through assimilation but through truth. We demand protection not as exemptions but as human beings. We hold ourselves accountable for who we elevate. Because putting someone on a pedestal for being the Latino face of Trump was never going to save us. It only distracted us. And finally, we stop buying into the line that loyalty will keep us safe. Safety comes from solidarity, not submission. What happened to this man is tragic. It is humiliating, it is unjust, but it is not surprising. The writing was on the wall from the very beginning. Trump's policies were always about control, always about punishment, always about removing the undesirable. And no amount of bootlicking could change the fact that once your number comes up, the system will come for you too. So today we grieve, not just for him, but for all those still trapped in the line of exceptionalism. We grieve for the families being separated. We grieve for the children growing up in fear. We grieve for the silence that too often follows when the oppressed support their own oppression. And when the dust settles, we must rise, not as pawns in someone else's game, but as a people committed to truth, justice, and self-respect. This arrest should not be treated as irony. It should be treated as a wake-up call, because when the wall goes up, it doesn't ask who you voted for. It only asks, do you belong? And if your answer depends on who's in office, then you are never truly safe to begin with. Well, guys, let me know what your thoughts are about this. Also, remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.